Dear students, today we are going to discuss a prose piece, Dare the Waves. Now, what do you mean by dare? Dare is expressing your boldness, your courage, your bravery. Now, if it is something else, we can exhibit a bravery. But here, when there are natural calamities like a flood or an earthquake or a fire or some other phenomena, it's very difficult then. So, here daring the waves, fighting against the waves. Let's see what happens to a little boy who tries to overcome the fury caused by the waves. So, we will just discuss the lesson now. Got a short poem here. So, we will just go through that poem. You washed away everything I knew. You destroyed all of my original, antique walls. You smashed through my humble home and left me sitting ankles deep on the deserted beach, watching the waves of your destruction kiss my sandy memories. I was furious until I realized how beautiful the view was. Now, look at the questions. Whom is the poet addressing? So, the poet is talking to the tsunami waves. The poet, she is a woman. So, the poet describes the after effects of tsunami. She is addressing tsunami. What is the tone of the poem? So, initially it is that of lamentation. She has lost everything, and anger. She is furious, remember. And then beauty. So, she realizes it later. So, realization dawns later. Why is the beach deserted? So, everything and everyone has been destroyed and washed away by the waves. Therefore, the beach is deserted. Why was the poet furious? The poet's belongings, her humble home, remember, have been destroyed, and this makes the poet furious. What was beautiful? The view was beautiful. So, after all the death, after the aftermath there, it was very calm and peaceful. It was a scene of beauty. Now, we just move on to the lesson, Dare the Waves. You will enjoy this lesson a lot because it describes the bravery of a little boy and how he was saved by a tribal little boy. So, this is about two boys here. It's pathetic also, but at the same time you will realize how brave the tribal boy was to save the life of the hero of this story. First came the earthquake, then the sea retreated, receded. It was coming almost to the horizon, it seemed. So, horizon is the imaginary point where the earth and sky meet. But now it was coming back. So, something was returning. What was it? The wave. Next sentence, you got it. The wave was high and square with a snowdrift of white foam at its head. So, snowdrift, just a layer of snow there. It was when the waves, they start foaming. So, you find the snowdrift. It was the biggest wave that I had ever seen, but not so big that I would run away. So, the boy is quite daring. He's seen a very big wave, but he's not going to run away. He's going to stand there and face it. His courage is undaunted. He is not going to leave the place. Now, I had turned 13 and was not easily scared. So, this shows the quality of the boy. He was very brave. He was just 13 and still he had this element of bravery in him. The wave would break on the shore, maybe even strand a few bluefin in the sharp grass. Strand like deposit. So, make the fish stranded. Bluefin is a type of tuna fish. So, these may be deposited on the bank. I could return home with dinner. Mama would wrap the fish in palm leaves, bake it and serve it with rice cooked in coconut oil. So, he is going to take the fish home and they would cook it and eat along with rice. I rubbed my stomach and smiled. So, the thought of food makes him very happy. But then I remembered Mama would not cook. She had returned to the village with a headache. The earthquake had given her a migraine. So, after the earthquake comes the wave now. So, because of the earthquake, mother had developed migraine. So, now she is not going to cook. The wave rumbled closer. So, this big wave that he sees rumbled, it makes a thundering sound. You say the noise of thunder, it's called rumble. So, here the sound is produced by the wave. It comes closer. It made a noise like all the creatures of the world rolled up in a ball. So, just imagine all the creatures, all the animals, everything just gather into a ball and imagine the sound that they would make. That murmuring sound is heard. The lions roar, the bulls bellow. So, cows moo and bulls bellow. It's the noise made by the bull. Even the snakes hiss. So, that hissing sound is also heard from the ferocious wave. How fabulous! Here fabulous because it's wonderful. This noise of all sorts of creatures. So, the question is what's a bluefin? So, please refer to your dictionary and find out it's a type of tuna fish. Get the picture of it and see it. There were more people on the beach further down. So the boy is not alone. There were some other people on the beach. A group of teenagers were dancing around the radio. So all these teenagers are enjoying themselves. They listen to the song and keep dancing. One had a foot hooked over the side of his canoe, but it was unlikely that he would actually venture into the sea. So he doesn't have the idea of going into the sea. Just playfully he is sitting with one foot hooked on the canoe and the other dangling there. The Nicobaric people respect the ocean and its power. So they worship the ocean. Something thumped on the sand behind me. So he hears a noise, thumping, the sound of something dropping. Too loud to be a coconut, too soft for a wild pig. So he's sure that it's not a coconut or a pig. I turned reluctantly, unwillingly, not wishing to miss 1 second in the life of the fabulous wave. So he's admiring the wave now. So he doesn't wish to miss it. So he doesn't like to turn, but he is forced to turn because of the sound. There was a boy on the beach. So who does the sound come from? From a boy. A Champagne boy. So Champagne is the tribe of Nicobar. One of the ancient tribes that lived in the darkest forests. So these people are from the forests. They were barely more than cave people. So they are very, very primitive. Their knowledge is as limited as people living in caves. They were ignorant in the ways of modern life. So they do not know all these modern equipment and all modern technical facilities and all. The Champagne still sacrificed animals. Just imagine olden days practice of killing animals and offering them to God. They stole from rubbish tips and they shot arrows at helicopters. So rubbish tips, all those accumulated things. So you got the meaning in your text, you could refer to the glossary. So what did these people do? Whenever they saw helicopters, they imagined them to be their enemies and started shooting arrows as if these arrows would bring the helicopter down. You got a question here for comprehension. Give evidences to show what kind of people Champagnes were. So you got it all on this page. So they were an ancient tribe, they were very primitive, they did not know modern technology, they still sacrificed animals and they started shooting arrows at helicopters. Now let's come back to the story. The boy had a swipe of ebony hair hanging over one eye. The other was brown, that is the other eye. The eye that was visible was brown, wide and staring over my shoulder. Mountain wave, he said in a gruff voice. Gruff is rough. You know, these people belonging to the forest, they understand the habits, the ways of the sea better. So this boy predicts that it is a mountain wave, a very huge wave, a wave as large as a mountain. Now you got some explanation there. Champagnes are primarily hunter-gatherers and also practice a little bit of horticulture and pig rearing, gardening and all these things. Now, are you speaking to me? I asked. So now our hero, he is surprised. He says, are you talking to me? Champagnes were not known for their social skills. So they were not very friendly. Generally, they stayed as far away from civilization as the island of Great Nicobar will allow. Although in recent years, ancient barriers were being worn down. What is worn down? Broken. And there was even some trading between the Champagnes and Nicobaric. So now slowly they start improving their trade practice. So a little bit of communication is taking place. They are slowly improving. But this was the first time in my life that a Champagne had addressed me. So the first time the author, the young boy, is talking to another Champagne boy. I tapped my chest. Me? Are you talking to me? The boy pointed out to the sea. First the earth shakes. He is referring to the earthquake. Then the mountain wave comes. We must go. So he urgently cautions the author to leave the place. He says, already there was a warning. There was an earthquake. Now come the giant waves. So it's better that we leave this place. We are in danger. The boy spoke Kar with a heavy accent. Kar refers to the language of the Nicobarian tribes. The Champagne have their own ancient language, but no one outside their tribe can speak it. So only these people know the language. No one can be bothered to try. So nobody bothered to try speaking in that language. Go, he repeated, gesturing towards the forest. So gesturing, making signs. He pointed out to the forest. Now. So again you see the urgency in his voice and in his speech. So you got a question, please refer to the paragraph and answer it. Why was the narrator surprised when the Champagne boy spoke to him? The hint is that they are not good communicators, they never mix well, they are not social people. My mother had always told me never to follow a Champagne anywhere, especially into the forest. And I did not intend to disobey her. So the boy never intended to follow the Champagne boy. He wanted to obey his mother, he remembered his mother's words, and he wanted to stay safe on land. Anyway, I wanted to watch the wave. Still, he would not leave the place because he was interested in the wave. It was really something when a big wave broke on the shore, cutting long furrows into the sand. So it was cutting long trenches. So these trenches made by water, that's a very rare and beautiful sight to see. I turned my back on the boy. So what's turning the back? He ignores the boy. He just doesn't face him. He turns his back and doesn't pay heed to his words. Our conversation was over. That's all. He's not going to speak anymore with the boy. The giant wave made me catch my breath. Catch my breath, gasp in surprise. He was shocked and he was wondering at its huge size. Suddenly it was close and huge. So just some seconds ago it was far away, but now it has come closer. I hadn't realized how big it must be. This little boy never imagined that it was so big. Higher than the tree surely. So the waves reached even beyond the trees. And fast too. So they were rapidly approaching. It seemed as though the entire ocean was coming this way, not just the surface. So it seemed not the waves alone, but the whole ocean was just rapidly coming to the shore. What? I said in surprise. But my own words were smothered by the gigantic rumbling. So rumbling is that noise, that murmuring sound there. So he exclaimed in surprise, but he himself, he could not hear his voice. It was smothered, covered. I felt dwarfed. Dwarfed felt very tiny and little because the wave was very huge. I felt a hand in my pocket and it was not my own hand. Suddenly he feels something in his pocket and he realizes that he hadn't put his hand into his pocket. So it belonged to someone else. A brown arm had snaked in round my waist. Snaked in, it had just encompassed his waist. Slowly it was creeping into his pocket. The champagne boy was picking my pocket. So picking my pocket, he was stealing from the pocket. So this boy is very shocked. The champagne boy had stolen his pouch which contained the money given to him on his birthday. The giant wave made me catch my breath. Why did he say so? Because it was so huge and it was rapidly approaching. The small champagne boy darted between the palms on the edge of the beach. So darted, ran fast. So he was just moving in and out of the trees. He would disappear now. I knew it and I would never catch him. Because the champagnes, they are well versed in running. They are very fast runners and they know the area very well. Whereas these civilized people, they live only on the land. They've never been into the forest. So he knew that he could never catch him. The champagne were like ghosts in the jungle. See, here champagne refers to the entire tribe. So we got the plural verb were. So the people, the champagne people, they were like ghosts in the jungle. Anytime, anywhere, they would just approach. And all of a sudden they would disappear because they knew the place in and out. But for some reason, the boy stopped. So here, the author doesn't know why, but suddenly the boy stopped. He didn't continue running. He turned and waved my pouch at me. So it was as if he was inviting the author for a running race, asking him to come and catch him. A taunt that no 13-year-old boy could resist. So taunt, this is a challenge here. He was teasing him. So the author could not resist. He could not avoid the temptation of running after the boy and securing his pouch. That little thief may have been champagne, but my legs were fast. So the author was confident of his running fast. I forgot the wave and ran. So no longer does he stand and look at the wave. Instead, he is very much interested in getting his pouch back. It was quite a chase, a very good tough chase. I could run, but the champagne boy could read the jungle like an open book. Like an open book, he was so thorough, familiar with all the routes. Every part of the forest, he knew them very well. Every dip in the sandy clay and every root that snaked from the earth to trip us. So suddenly a root would spring out and those who are new would trip over it and fall. Seemed to be a part of his plan. So the boy deliberately took these routes in order to slow down the author, make the author confused. A quiver of arrows clattered on his belt as he ran. So remember, the boy is a champagne and the champagne keeps shooting arrows at helicopters. And I noticed a short bow across his belt. So he was even wearing a bow and arrow, no? So bow, he was wearing a bow. He wouldn't shoot me, surely not. So the champagne boy doesn't have the intention of shooting this author. I almost called off the chase. Note the word called off. I gave up. I stopped the chase. But the boy seemed to sense my reluctance, unwillingness, and waved my pouch over his head like a trophy. So once again, the boy is teasing and taunting the author and forcing him to run behind him. He says, if you catch me, definitely you'll get back the pouch. My brow burned. So his brow, the forehead, it burns with the exertion. And I sucked a deep breath. So once again he takes a deep breath, sending the oxygen to my muscles. So he gathers strength. Faster, I told myself. So he just urges himself to run faster. You are the taller boy. After all, you are bigger than the other fellow. You will snap his arrows across his own legs. So you're strong enough to beat him in the race. Why did the Champagne boy wave the pouch at the narrator? Because he wanted the narrator to follow him. So for 5 seconds I ran faster. Then the world changed forever. So he started to run, but very soon he realized that the entire situation turned. My ears were filled with the sound of my blood boiling, or so I thought. So he had this sense. It felt as if his blood was boiling within him. But the sound grew loud, filling the air, drowning out the insects. So no other noise was heard, only this noise of the wave. It was the wave howling towards the shore. So the wave was making such a tremendous howling noise and was coming near the shore. I ran on because I was already running. So no stopping now. He has to escape. Apart from getting his pouch back, his main aim is escaping the wave. It's following him. So he just starts running faster. And maybe because something deep inside me knew already that this wave was not just slightly out of the ordinary. It was not merely out of the ordinary, but it was tremendous. Definitely it is going to cause great havoc and damage. The fist slammed into the dancing teenagers. Here fist refers to the wave, the fist of the wave. So a little bit of personification. The wave rammed or slammed into the dancing teenagers. Remember, they were dancing around the radio. So what happened here? Burying them instantly. So 1 second they were alive, next second they were gone. They just vanished in a flash. There was no struggle or cry. They didn't even have time to realize that they were being drowned, washed away by the waves. Just alive and then dead. As I told you, 1 second they are alive, next moment, next second they are gone. I cried out, still running. This hero, the narrator, is very much shocked. Tears flooded my eyes, but I kept running. So he cannot stop there. The next victim would be himself. So he just starts running. The Champagne boy sprinted ahead, ran very fast, barefoot. He did not even have shoes or slippers. Remember, they were primitive, treading the ground. So he was just running across the ground. I followed. Spray from the wave spattered my neck. So it splashed on his neck, even though the wave was at a distance. I'm coming for you, little boy. So this is the warning that the wave gives him. So better be careful, otherwise I will also overpower you. Your little legs are not strong enough to outrun me. So you are a little boy, your legs do not have the strength to beat me in the race. I'll be the first to capture you and overpower you. I'm coming for you, little boy. Who said this? Of course, the wave. There was a hill ahead, small and rough, dotted with neem trees like arrows in a pig's back. So the comparison given by the narrator. The money thief ran towards the summit. Who is the money thief? This little Champagne boy who took the author's purse. So did I. So the author also ran towards the summit. Summit is the peak of the hill perhaps. There was foam at my ankles. So just look at the distance between the boy and the wave. The foam has started hitting his ankles. Noise buffeted me like a giant wind. So it just reached him. It was just covering him there like a giant wind. Water now up to my knees. So now slowly the water has come to his knees. Not slowly, rapidly. Fresh and salty. Not clear though. The Champagne scaled a giant tree right at the summit. So the Champagne boy goes to the peak of the hill and climbs a huge tree. He went up like an animal, fast and sure-footed. So they are all trained. These tribals are trained in climbing up trees, running fast, all these things. I tried to follow, tried to copy, but I am no Champagne. So this author, he could not complete the task because he was not used to it. He is a city boy and he is not used to these acts of climbing up trees rapidly. Our tribe have forgotten how to live in the trees. So modern people do not know how to stay in the trees. My feet slipped on the rough bark. My fingernails tore and bled. So as he was grasping the tree, his fingernails, they got injured. He was just inserting his fingernails onto the tree and trying to climb up, and therefore there were bruises. Crying, I turned to face the water and was amazed at the ruin behind me. So when he turned, it was devastating. The sight was devastating. So everything has been washed out by the water. What did he see? The wave had all but eaten the coastline. There was no coastline at all. Everywhere there was only water. no difference between the sea and the beach. Everything is covered with water and was flowing on towards the village. So the waves had even started entering the village. It was trying to scale the hill too, rolling its way towards me. So scale is climb. So the waves were even trying to encompass the hill. The wave would make it, I thought. So here he is a bit dejected. I am sure the wave would overpower me. It would flick up a finger and dislodge me from my perch. Flick up a finger, just at the snap of a finger, it would extend its finger, and the next moment he would be gone. Then on to my village. Then it would go into the village. Maybe the entire island. So the whole island would be washed out. What was happening to the earth? Then, to my relief, I saw that the wave was dipping. My feet were clear of the water. For several seconds, I sobbed in selfish relief before I realized that my family were probably not so lucky. So, he finds that his family was not lucky. There was a second wave behind the first, crouched on its back. So, one more wave is approaching them. 6 feet higher, high enough to snatch me off my little hill. So, this almost reaches the top of the hill. The boy could be washed away any time. I scrabbled at the tree trunk again. So, he clambered and he tried to climb up. But it was slick and gave me no purchase. So, no purchase, no opportunity, no scope. Slick, very smooth. Therefore, he could not climb further. I turned to face my doom. He thought that his end was near. He was going to die. So, he got ready to face his death. I saw people in the water and houses. So, when he turns and looks at the water, he is shocked to see lots of people there floating on the water, and even houses are damaged and destroyed and washed away. The Champagne boy had me by the shoulders, hauling me into the neem tree. So, hauling is pulling. So, the boy was just pulling him up into the neem tree. Then I was in the branches. So, now he gets settled among the branches, covering behind a sheet of leaves as if they could shield me from anything. So, as if the leaves would offer him protection. Covering, he was just crouching and hiding behind a sheet of leaves. What did it matter? The wave would surely uproot the tree. So, whether he was crouching or hiding, it made no difference, because very soon the tree would get uprooted and fall into the water. We would both be dead in a few seconds. So, soon they are going to be dead. So, you got a question there. So, please answer it. The Champagne boy squatted beside me, apparently calm, but the boy was not at all affected. His eyes were wide, but his body was relaxed and casual. So, his eyes were wide open looking at the wave, but he was relaxed. He was not tensed up at all. He knew that there was nothing more to do. So, why wasn't he tensed up? He had done his best. There was nothing else to do but face the end. Whatever happened was beyond our control. So, it is beyond them now. That is what I told you earlier. We cannot fight against natural calamities. What happened was that we survived. So, that is a great shock, unbelievable incident. They survived. They were alive. The wave flowed inland for what seemed like an eternity, but it never managed to uproot our ancient tree. So, the wave was going on flowing forever, but how much ever it tried, it could not bring down the tree. The hill became a little island on the back of our sunken island, and the Champagne boy and I were the only 2 inhabitants. So, who were the survivors now? Only the narrator and the Champagne boy. All the others had been killed. The entire village had been wiped off. Things flowed beneath us that nobody should ever see. So, you should never see such things. What were they? The sea had claimed its bounty, its gift, its reward, and now it was revealing it to me. So, the sea was showing the narrator all the gifts that it had brought from the island. Shacks. Shacks are roughly constructed huts or houses. Shacks, bicycles, livestock, animals, cattle, and of course people. So, all the people were killed. They were just washed away. My heart was torn from my chest as I saw a girl I knew float past, her beautiful dark hair trailing behind her. So, suddenly he sees the body of a little girl, and he had known her. Her hair was just trailing, following. It was just spread out and was scattered all over. I think she was a distant cousin. So, she was even his relation. She was encased in driftwood and rubbish, so pieces of wood and log, like something lost and worthless. So, she was looking like another bit of log. I will never forget that image. So, that image of her death, the body being washed away, would never leave his mind. Even when she was alive, the author had not known her so much. But now he remembers her vividly and will keep remembering her till the end. A sharp pain in my arm cut through the dull pain of despair. So this hopelessness, he was brought back to a jolting reality by experiencing a pain in his arm. I looked down. The Champagne boy was twisting a corkscrew thorn from my forearm. So there was a corkscrew thorn, a thorn that was like a cork and it could be screwed inside. So this thorn had entered the author's arm and the boy was trying to pull it out, the Champagne boy. I jerked away. So he yanked his arm, he pulled it away, then pulled at the thorn myself. So he started extricating the thorn himself. But the boy gripped my hand firmly. But the boy prevented it. Not pull, he said. So his broken language, he says don't pull. In a thick accent, turn. Pull makes a big hole. So if you keep pulling it, it will enter deeper into your flesh and there will be a hole. He gripped the thorn again, twisting it gently so that it followed its own path out. So like a screw that is being twisted and removed, here the thorn was slowly removed. The tip was covered with half an inch of my blood. So it had penetrated so deeply that half an inch of the thorn was covered with the narrator's blood. I almost felt sorry for myself, but then I remembered that I was alive to feel pain. So it's almost like a boon now. He was alive to experience the pain, whereas the others, they were just washed away with the wave. My distant cousin was not. The distant cousin was drowned. And what of my family? Mama and Papa? My God, what of them? So he was just wondering about his parents. I wanted to jump down from a tree and run to the village, but all I could see were treetops and water. So the immediate urge in him was to jump down and go to the village and find out what happened to his parents. But wherever he turned, he could see only layers and layers of water. The wave still covered the ground and it was moving in fast muscular currents. So still the current was strong. It was whirling and moving all about. If my parents were alive, they would not want me to kill myself. So if his parents were alive, they would not like to lose him there to the waves. So I was stuck here for the time being at the mercy of a pickpocket Champagne savage. So the Champagne boy did not actually have the intention of picking his pocket. He wanted the narrator to run after him and escape the giant wave. So he deliberately picked the pocket, not with the intention of stealing. So at the mercy of, he showed kindness to the author, to the narrator. A savage who had saved my life and fixed my arm. So he even helped the narrator get the thorn extricated from his arm. So that was the magnanimity of the little boy. So this is a very touching experience, a real life incident. Now children, you will not get any questions from this text. So this was done in detail. This prose piece was discussed only to help you comprehend the story and to learn some new words and to enjoy the language and to feel the pathos of this story. Okay. So in communicative English, all questions would be only general. You will be tested only in unseen passages, your reading comprehension, everything. So that's why there are no questions given in the text after the lesson. So don't expect any questions from here. Maybe the vocabulary, the words, you will be tested in those. Thank you.